Welcome into the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave, cavetalkradio.com and the Cave Talk Radio app. It's great to have you aboard. New time slot and all. Exciting stuff. The Gary Ayd Show. All right, so we got a lot to get to today. Of course, Rich Anselmo will join me in hour number 2. Right now, though, it's all about the New York Knicks to start the show today. Where do we go from here? Where do the Knicks go from here? They're still technically in the series. You know, it's 3-1. I know that. They're not coming back from 3-1. I think we all know that, right? Like, it's not going to happen. So the question becomes, what do we do? Where do you go from here? And I think this has a lot to do with the temperament of the fans. This is not a disappointment. I mean, if you had gone into the season, I think sometimes when you are looking at your feelings today, you have to go back and think about what you were expecting yesterday. So if you go back to the start of the season, if I had told you that you were going to win, well, they win 50 games or just under, about 50 games. I'd have to look at the exact number, but it was around there. Around 50 games, win a playoff series, win a playoff game or more in the second round. Would you have been happy with that as a Knicks fan? I think so. Most likely, right? I would have been. I mean, I'm not a Knicks fan necessarily, but I root for them to do well because it's good for the league. It's good for the show. It's good for the station. And I enjoy it. I know a lot of Knicks fans, and I'm happy for them. Would you have been disappointed with a second round playoff exit? Now, you could make an argument right now, well, Gary, things change, you know, my expectations change, and I understand that. So you're certainly going to be disappointed momentarily. But the type of things I hear from the loudest Knicks fan on the planet, Stephen A. Smith, yelling about trading Julius Randle, and I hear this from a lot of Knicks fans. Like, why? What are you going to get that's better? Look, if you told me you were going to get Giannis, okay, fine, trade Julius Randle. Obviously. But, you know, if you're going to end up with another really good player, like if you ended up with Michael Porter Jr., is he better than Julius Randle? I'm not saying the Nuggets are going to trade him. I'm just thinking of a like-level player. If you ended up with a bunch of young guys, you ended up with some draft picks and like a young guy, like let's say a Jaren Jackson from Memphis, does that make you better right now than Julius Randle? I don't think so. So you have to add two things. Building is not throw it out, bring in a new one, see if it works. Doesn't work, throw it out, bring in a new one, see if it works. That's not how you build. You build by having some success, which the Knicks have now had 2 years in a row, progressive success, which again, the Knicks have had, and then add in to make that progressive success continue to progress. Like, let's not overreact. Let's not pretend that this was a team that was predicted to be in the finals and is now one game away from elimination in the second round against a very weird 8 seed. This wasn't a team that was predicted to be in the finals. I don't even know that Vegas had them in the playoffs before the start of the season. I did. But they were expected to make the playoffs and do well and compete in the playoffs. And they did. They won a first-round series. They've won a game in this round. Maybe they'll win another one. Like, I think the Knicks met the challenge. I think the Knicks got the job done this year for what they are, for what they bring to the table. There's no one that they're losing to that they're better than. You could say they were equal with the Heat, but I don't even know that that's being shown to be not true. Look, Jimmy Butler is way better than anyone on the Knicks. That's just what it is, right? He's just a better player than anyone the Knicks have. He's better than Randall. He's definitely better than Jalen Brunson. He's better than RJ Barrett. And usually the team with the best player, if things are otherwise relatively equal, wins. And the Knicks and Heat, other than Jimmy Butler, are relatively equal. And the Heat are winning. I mean, they weren't going to beat Milwaukee if they had to play them. They weren't going to beat Philadelphia. They weren't going to beat Boston. They're not going to get a chance to play any of those teams, most likely, because it looks like the Heat will knock them out. But Like, you have to keep perspective in mind here. It's important to understand what you were expected to accomplish. Measuring success needs to be measured against your own ceiling, not against, well, we want to win a title. Well, okay, everyone wants to win a title. This is why I don't dig the whole title or bust zero sum game thing. Steve Kerr put this very eloquently recently, and I'm not going to try to even paraphrase because I don't really recall it, but essentially the gist of it was there's 30 teams, only one wins. There can't be 29 failures every single year. He was basically defending what Giannis had said at the end of his season with the whole, there's no such thing as a failed season. It's a process, that kind of thing. I mean, I know that sounded like a weird time to say things like that, but it's not all that wrong. It's not all that off basis. And I honestly believe as a fan of the Knicks and not my favorite team, I would say they're definitely my second favorite team. I'm happy with how this season went. I'm happy with the acquisition of Brunson. Don't overrate him, but he's an excellent player, an all-star player, great player, guy that you can definitely build with. Julius Randle, same thing. He's not a superstar, but he's an all-star. He's a damn good player, and you can build with him. RJ Barrett, about a half a rung or so behind, maybe a full rung behind those two, but also getting to that level of maybe borderline all-star. Mitchell Robinson, great at what he does. Tremendous rebounder, tremendous defender, tremendous shot blocker, wants a bigger role. I don't know if you'll ever end up keeping him or not. He might go elsewhere, but he's a good piece right now. You have some pieces here. The one guy I would take a hard look at in the offseason, there's two of them. Emmanuel Quickly and Quentin Grimes. Both of these guys were key cogs throughout the regular season. And Grimes has fallen completely out of the rotation. Quigley's getting there, and Quigley has had an opportunity to perform in the rotation and has failed to do so. He's really dropped the ball. And it's my personal opinion that they're not quite maybe as good as those two are, maybe not as good as we thought they were. But I'd be okay bringing both of them back. I think I feel better about Grimes long term than Quickly. Quickly was supposed to be the offense off the bench. He was supposed to be that fourth scorer, that extra guy. He's not been that at all. He's been a zero this whole postseason. So there's definitely a number of things to improve and work on. But let's iterate, let's tinker, let's add, let's not make wholesale changes. I got people saying Thibodeau runs his guys into the ground, get him out of town. They don't have a rotation. They're only playing six guys. Well, show me an NBA team right now this time of year that's playing more than seven at the most. Most of them are playing six or seven. I mean, the Suns certainly are. The Warriors don't play much more than six or seven. How many guys are getting minutes for the Heat? I mean, it's not a lot, you know? Like, I think the team that probably plays the deepest right now is either Boston or or the Lakers. But none of these teams play deep. That's the playoffs. No one plays deep in the playoffs. You go with your six or so best guys. That's what everyone does. And Thibodeau has this reputation of doing that. And but you know, ultimately, other coaches are doing the same thing. Everyone is. I mean, why wouldn't you? That's what you do in the playoffs. The playoffs, the rotations tighten up, and that's how it goes. It just is. So I say this, Knick fans: take the win. Take the win. Be happy with what your team's accomplished because you accomplished about as much as you could have. Yeah, you would have liked to win this series. And you would have felt definitely we accomplished everything we could. But this is a team that you were maybe had the opportunity to beat, and they had the opportunity to beat you, and they got the better of it. But like, so look at this. So the Knicks had two guys on their bench play 15 or more minutes. Hartenstein played 15. Josh Hart played 22. Um, by the way, for the record, Quentin Grimes played 42 minutes yesterday and had a total of 9 points. He actually was second on the team in minutes behind Brunson. But the Heat only had two guys play 15 or more minutes on their bench, too. Martin played 26. Lowry played 26. Robinson played 11. And Toppin played 6. Those are the third most minute guys for both teams. So Hartenstein played 15, right? And you got 22 from Hart. So realistically, what we're talking about here is a difference of about 10 minutes or so a night, 15 minutes a night in bench time. That's it. Now people say, well, Obi Toppin should be playing more. Why? What has he done to make me want to play him more? He hasn't done anything. He doesn't look like a great player. What's he do? He's an average guy. It's just a regular rotational player. That's all he is. So take the win, Knick fans. Be happy with what you've accomplished. Sure, it'd be nice to get another win or two, make the Heat sweat a little bit, and I think they probably will. But let's not overreact. Let's not fire Thibodeau, trade Randall, blow it up. This doesn't work. That doesn't work. This guy stinks. Let's relax. You achieved more than you should have this year, or you achieved exactly what you should have this year. I'll put it that way. I don't think you overachieved really, but I think you achieved exactly what you were supposed to achieve this year. And let's keep the recent and relatively not recent past in the front mirror here, in the windshield for a second, not in the rear view. Where were you before Thibodeau? Where were you before Randall and Brunson? Where were you before Leon Rose? Everyone wants to run Thibodeau out of town. Name me a Knick coach in the last 25 years who has had as much success as him. You can't. With this playoff series win this year, 2 years back-to-back in the playoffs, or 2 out of 3 years, I should say. 2 out of 3 years. You are now witnessing the best Knick coach since at least Jeff Van Gundy, the most accomplished Knick coach since at least Jeff Van Gundy, which is a long time ago. He's more accomplished now than Mike Woodson was, and no one else even qualifies for the discussion. I mean, that's it. So before we run this guy out of town, let's understand, let's take stock of what he's done and what his predecessors in recent times have done. Let's keep it in perspective. The reality is, you're not getting better than Tom Thibodeau. Even if you hire the two guys on the market, one of the two guys, Nick Nurse or Mike Budenholzer, conclusively better than Thibs. Yeah, they both have won a title, but one had Kawhi Leonard, one had Giannis Antetokounmpo. I got news for you. No one on the Knicks comes anywhere close to as good as either one of those guys. Thibodeau has always gotten the most from his teams. Every team he's been a part of, he's maximized. He made the Timberwolves relevant for a couple years, made them winning team for a couple years. He's made the Knicks a winning team. Those are two of the most lose-happy teams in all the NBA. And he's made them winners. He's been here 3 years now. He's had 2 winning seasons. Last year was a bad year. But his first year here, his team went to the playoffs. They won 41 games and lost 31. They lost some games that year. I don't remember why. But this year, Thibodeau, 47 and 35. And even though off year, you were 37 and 45. You weren't horrendous, right? They've been horrendous before. They weren't horrendous. They were just regular, not good, right? Regular bad, not terrible. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. I really do. And take the win. Take the win. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll do the question of the day. That's next. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
It's time to take the bull out of the pen. I am KO, back in 1 minute with your sports question of the day.
Duke the Pug will soon turn 20, which is pretty good for a dog breed that averages 11 years. When Duke was 13, he lost a lot of hair, had a hard time getting up for a walk, and his bowel movements were not very moving. We started making his food instead of buying it. We cook up a big batch of rice, chicken, broccoli, carrots, and turmeric, freeze meal-sized batches, and thaw them at mealtime. We also sprinkle Arthrodex on each meal. Arthrodex is a complete blend of plant-derived minerals, vitamins, amino acids, and enzymes formulated to make old dogs young again. And it does. Duke the Pug does have his problems, but he has all his hair, loves daily walks, and has no problems with his movements. Breakfast is at 7, and if it's not there by 7:01, we all hear about it. Make your old dog young again. Pick up Arthrodex at nutrientstogo.com. And while you're at it, make yourself young again with a Healthy Body Start Pack. nutrientstogo.com.
People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, or PETA, has asked Major League Baseball to ban the use of the term bullpen due to its insensitivity to livestock, namely bulls. PETA's proposal reads in part, baseball bullpens devalue talented players and mock the misery of sensitive animals. Strike out the word bullpen, which refers to the holding area where terrified bulls are kept before slaughter. PETA recommends the league replace the term bullpen with arm barn. Question: which term do you think MLB should use? Arm barn or bullpen?
Oh, for crying out loud. I think we've done this before. It was about a year or two ago, but it's just as stupid now. Please. Sensitive bulls. Yes, because bulls understand human language and they listen to baseball broadcasts and they say, "Oh, why are you making fun of me? It's not right. You're appropriating my likeness without compensation." This is a damn cow, people. It's a cow. You know what cows do? They mate, they crap, they pee, they eat, and they fight, and they sleep, and they crap some more. For crying out loud. This is why these organizations, these special interest groups shouldn't be allowed to have any kind of interest. Like, this is stupid. Sensitive bulls? Are you kidding me? You gotta be kidding me. I can't believe this is something that has been talked about enough to actually appear in like the public discourse in some way. It's a cow. They don't have feelings. If they do, they're not expressed. They're not feelings that are affected in any way by the language of humans. It's about as dumb as saying your computer, not connected to the internet, because maybe the internet does. Your computer somehow is offended by the fact that you have a computer image as your screensaver on your television. It's about as stupid as that. It's dumber than a box of rocks. For crying out loud, people. Let's just have some common sense. Leave things alone. Arm barn? What's that? An arm barn? Like, no, it's the bullpen. It's been the bullpen for 100 years. Leave it alone. You got your injured list instead of disabled list. At least that was related to supposedly people. Cows are going to be upset. Sensitive cows? Are you listening to yourself talk when you say stuff like this? You know how stupid that is? Oh my goodness, for crying out loud. No wonder we can't fix any real problems. We're too worried about how our language affects the feelings of cows. Oh, for crying out loud. Like, let's stop. Seriously, let's stop, people. We got better things to do. Surely we have better use of our time. My goodness. What a crazy world. You know, this is why people can't have nice things. This would be about as logical as saying a desk is upset because you're talking about that desk when comparing it to a desk you're thinking about buying. Like, come on. What is wrong with this world, man? I mean, like, we're gonna change the name of a piece of baseball because the cows are gonna be offended. Oh, good grief. Good grief. Now I'm calling it bullpen. And that's gonna join, if that ever actually happens, that's joining the lexicon of it's the Redskins, it's the Indians, their owners, not governors. I'm saying the old term, whether they change this or not. Arm barn. Sounds like you cut off someone's arms and threw them in a barn somewhere. What a disaster. What a total disaster. By the way, if you haven't done so already, check out my friends at Days Coffee. They are fantastic. They are great. They have some of the best coffee around. It's good for you. It's not as caffeine heavy. And while you're downtown there, check out our newest sponsor, returning sponsor, Ray's Place. Open Thursday through Saturday. I think it's noon to 8 or 11 to 8. Yeah, it's 11 to 8. Check them out. They're right next to the Middletown Police Station near Players. They are the home of the cheesesteak. Ribeye cheesesteak, overflowing, fresh baked bread from, I believe it's local bread from DeFilippi's, I believe. Just an unbelievable place. They have great mozzarella sticks, great comfort food. He makes daily soups. Everything there is fresh, made to order with love. That's Ray's Place. Check them out. And when you're done, believe me, you're going to need a cup of coffee. Go down to Days Coffee right from there. It's right around the corner, short walking distance on North Street, across from the barber shops, Something Sweet, right down there in downtown near the library. Check them both out. Tell them we sent you. Place is great. Both of them are awesome. I'm going to Ray's for lunch on Thursday. You should as well. I'm going to go to Days tomorrow for my coffee. You should do the same thing. Check them out. They're our sponsors. Support them. Thank you very much. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. We got more to get to. It's the Gary Ayd Show coming back here on The Cave.
Coffee Lovers Middletown is now officially home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days' patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to radioonlydeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That's radioonlydeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Days Coffee. Radioonlydeals.com. That's radioonlydeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Days Coffee.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you. With the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
All righty. So I see in the comments during the break, Dylan has a lot to say, talking about Gary Payton, Lonnie Walker, Jordan Poole, a lot of names here. So I got a lot to say on that, and we'll get into that stuff a little bit later on. But I want to start with a bigger picture question. And maybe some of those guys will factor into this. Whose legacy is most affected by the outcome of this year's playoffs? I think there's a number of candidates. I think Kevin Durant is a big one. I know he's injured right now, but I think Chris Paul is the other. I think both Jokic and Embiid are starting to get on the clock, particularly Embiid. James Harden, for sure, has to be in there. Much like Jokic and Embiid, I think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are starting to get on the clock, although they're a little younger, but they're getting there. There's a lot of guys who are maybe going to be affected by the outcome of this playoffs in terms of kind of the permanent writing of their legacy. Obviously, they're all still active players, but these chapters eventually make up a book, and in a lot of cases, even if a final chapter has the result that you wanted, it doesn't change the overall aspect of the book. Take Gary Payton, for example. Yeah, he technically won a ring, at the end of his career. Tracy McGrady technically made the finals with the Spurs, but it doesn't change the fact that Gary Payton was a near miss. Tracy McGrady was a playoff disaster most of the time. Even though those events did happen. The volume of your work at some point speaks for any particular single moment. Overrules it, I should say. So there's a lot of people. And you know, the thing that's crazy is it seems to me that LeBron's legacy, the public and the media is pushing that. I don't understand it. To me, his legacy's long been secured. So he's not going to be on my list. I don't see it that way. This is my opinion, right? I see LeBron as beyond reproach. I see Curry and the Warriors as beyond reproach. I think their legacy is a little bit maybe overinflated and less deserved. But I think the guys here right now who really have a lot on the line, to me, Kevin Durant has a ton on the line. Again, this is my opinion. My opinion is he has never accomplished what he needs to accomplish to be solidified of the lofty stature that his talent and accomplishments would otherwise gain him entry to. He needs to win a title as the guy on a team that did not win before and then immediately subsequently after him being there. He needs to win one with the pressure on him, the way Curry has done twice, the way LeBron has done 4 times, the way Jordan did 6 times, the way John Havlicek, the way Bill Russell, the way all the great champions. If you're going to be in that conversation, you can't be a guy that, like, everyone says LeBron was a bandwagon jumper. No, he was the bandwagon. People jumped onto his wagon. He took the wagon with him and won everywhere he went. Kevin Durant had to go to a place that he just choked away a 3-1 lead to, join them to win. They won before him, they won right after him, and he hasn't won anything elsewhere. He hasn't come close to winning anything since Oklahoma City. So, to me, he has a lot to prove. He has a lot to prove. I think Chris Paul is probably next on that list. So I think there's probably more pressure on the Suns than any team in the playoffs this year, from a legacy perspective for their better players. Devin Booker's not there yet. I don't know that he's going to be a, quote, legacy guy. I think he's going to go down as just one of those, like, really great scoring players that kind of get a little forgotten with history. Guys like Dave Bing and Mitch Richmond and Alex English and people like that. I think he's kind of destined for that type of category. You look at a guy like James Harden, I think is certainly, I would put him next on my list of guys whose legacy is really on the line here. And for his part, he's made a couple of really big clutch performances to kind of really try to make that happen. I think he's acutely aware of it. So I would put Harden on that list. I don't know that Jokic is there yet. I think him and Embiid are knocking on the door. Maybe Embiid's a little bit further down the path. So if you wanted to throw Embiid on there, but I think there's a big fall off in pressure on one's legacy in this playoffs after you get through those first 3. Durant, Paul, and Harden. After you get through those first 3, I think there's a lot less. Maybe you can throw LeBron in there if you want to. I don't, because in my mind, his legacy is already beyond reproach. But that's not the way it's portrayed in the media. And I suppose getting a 5th title and tying Kobe and Magic would matter to some people. So I guess you could put him in there if you want to. I'm not, but I guess you could. Same with Curry. But again, I'm not. To me, they have proven to be, without a question, the 2 most successful players of the last 20 years. And to me, their legacies are secure. One other guy that I think is has an interesting legacy is not a player but a coach. Doc Rivers. He's had a lot of plum jobs with a lot of top talent, and aside from the '08 Celtics, which is a long time ago now, has never won a title. And he's been on a lot of teams where the expectation was title or bust. And you could argue this 76ers team is another one of those. The Clippers were bust. You know, the Clippers were a couple of years like that. And I think that Philly has been for a couple of years. I think Doc Rivers is another guy who has a lot on the line with this postseason. I really do. So I agree with Dylan though. If they lose this series, you got to get rid of Doc Rivers. I agree. I really do. Harden's been great. But he's got a lot riding on this because he's done everything else. He's won MVPs. He's won scoring titles. I think he's even won an assist title. There's not that many guys that have won both. There's a double check that. I don't know if he's won an assist title or not. He certainly had the numbers certain years to do it. He has to win a title. And Embiid is getting there too. I really think that Doc Rivers has a lot riding on this right now. I really do. One guy who has the chance to really get ahead of the curve here is Lakers coach Darvin Ham. He's a young coach. I think he's his rookie year as a coach. If he wins a title this year, it's kind of like the Tom Brady effect, where by the time there was any expectation on him, he had so far overachieved his expectations that he never had pressure on him. You know, Darvin Ham could be in that category, potentially. So it's an interesting thing to consider. But I'll tell you what, Harden has been absolutely, of all the guys, he has played in a way that makes it appear he understands that his legacy's on the line here. He's played with a certain desperation, reckless abandon, all-out type of effort, and really brought it forward. He stepped up big to win some games, as Dylan said in the comments, for the 76ers, especially in this series. I mean, basically the two series wins, that thing's tied 2-2. If not for Harden heroics, this could have been a Celtics sweep. I mean, Harden single-handedly let them win the game 1 when Embiid didn't play. They got killed in games 2 and 3. Embiid and him both played great in game 4. Harden hits the game-tying floater and the game winner in overtime. I mean, he really has, like Dylan said, he's right. He's carried Philly in this series, especially down the stretch and in clutch situations. He's playing like he has something to prove. Like he's desperate. He knows he's not getting any younger. He's near the end of his prime, maybe slightly even past it already. He knows he needs to get a win here. And if they get past Boston, they will be in the finals. And I've been saying all along, I thought the winner of the survivor of Boston, Philly, Milwaukee would end up winning the title. I got to tell you, with the way the Lakers have looked defensively and with their depth and their scoring from multiple places, that may not be the case anymore. Denver has also impressed me. But I think Philly and Harden have a lot to gain here. I really do. Along with Kevin Durant and Chris Paul. Those three are way up top. And then anyone else you want to throw in, I think there's a precipitous drop from those three down to whoever else you want to put in there when we're talking about the impact of the outcome of this playoffs on their respective legacies. Alrighty, let's take a break. We'll come back. We got more to get to. Rich Anselmo joins us in hour number 2. Coming up next, Steve Kerr says Golden State has a rat. Let's talk about it. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, Call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you are ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
Coffee Lovers Middletown is now officially home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days' patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to radioonlydeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That's radioonlydeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Days Coffee. Radioonlydeals.com. That's radioonlydeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Days Coffee.
Has your heater or air conditioner busted? Appliance broken? Computer crashed? Then you need an ARW home warranty. Home system and appliance repairs and replacements can cause stress and cost you thousands of dollars per year. With an A-plus BBB rating and a top-rated home warranty company on Consumer Affairs and Trustpilot, ARW Home provides superior service, featuring the industry's lowest service call fee. ARW Home has warranty plans that cover your kitchen and laundry appliances, heating and air conditioning systems, electrical and plumbing systems, and much more. Call 800-235-1584 to customize your plan. Plus, ARW has partnered with Azurian to protect your new and used tablets, laptops, TVs, and other home tech from accidental damage and wear and tear. All plans come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call 800-235-1584 now for a free quote. That's 800-235-1584.
Alrighty, we're back here on the Gary Ayd Show. Great to have you aboard. Gary Ayd with you. Now, I don't know. He was being sarcastic because Steve Kerr made a major lineup change going into Game 4 with the Lakers last night. And for those who didn't watch the game, Jordan Poole was on the bench. He barely played in this game. I think he played 10 minutes. They went with the starting lineup of Curry, Thompson. Trying to remember who else. It was Green was at center. Wiggins was at power forward. Trying to remember who played the three. I don't remember, but there was a very small lineup, and it wasn't Jordan Poole. And this lineup was obviously very different. It might have been Gary Payton. That's who it was. Yeah, so it was Gary Payton, Gary Payton Jr. It was Curry, Payton, Thompson, Wiggins, and Green. That was the lineup. And this was obviously a different lineup than what they normally run with. And he sarcastically said there's a rat because this lineup was reported early on, well before game time. In fact, our friend Jonathan Mathis of the Sports Judge had the news. That was the first place I saw it. And then you saw it around the internet, I think as early as about 4 o'clock Eastern time. This game was 10 o'clock Eastern, so a full 6 hours. But I really think that it's it's kind of ironic that really set him off. He was, he was being sarcastic, but look, he's trying different things. And when you're the one making the adjustments, it means you're losing the series. Obviously, we look on the scoreboard, we know they're losing the series. It's 3-1, but he went into this only down 2-1, right? And he's the one that feels the need to make an adjustment. He's the one who's going to a lineup that, to my knowledge, they haven't used all year as a starting unit. And I have to tell you, I see what he was trying to do. The old, quote, death lineup, all that spacing and speed and all that. Gary Payton don't belong in that lineup. And the idea that you're going to get away with Andrew Wiggins or Draymond Green against an engaged Anthony Davis, that's a lot of optimism. More than I'd have. I think Kerr has outsmarted himself a little bit in this series. I think Kerr has gone about trying to make changes, tinker. Coaches are tinkerers, right? They all are. I think Kerr has gone a little overboard. I think he's cost himself maybe one game in this series. Just go with Looney. He's the only guy that can bang with Davis. No one's going to stop Davis. We understand that. When engaged, when healthy, Davis is as good as anyone in the NBA. So, yes, you're not going to stop Anthony Davis. But we know Davis is brittle. Looney's a physical player. And we saw it in game 1. Yeah, the Lakers won that game. Davis played great, but they both had 20 rebounds. He was working. Wear Davis out. Use Looney. Not only start him, play him extended minutes. Make Davis play against a guy who's going to bang on him the entire 35 or 40 minutes or whatever Davis is out there. Make him feel it. This guy could get hurt. We know that about Davis. Why go with guys who aren't a threat to him? Green, of course, is more physical, stronger than Wiggins, but he's still at best 6'8", 6'9". He doesn't have the length to deal with Davis. He might bang him around a little bit, but let Looney do that. Looney has the build, has the length. To me, Kerr has outcoached himself here a little bit. I didn't like this adjustment for Golden State. I thought it kind of played into the Lakers' hands. I'm not afraid of Gary Payton Jr. shooting. I'm not afraid of Draymond Green shooting. So for a death lineup, there's at least 2 guys that I'm not afraid of shooting. Wiggins is a decent shooter, but I'm not terrified of him. See, the problem for the Warriors right now goes all the way back to the beginning of the season, even the preseason. I believe that punch that Green leveled to Poole permanently screwed up Poole's head, at least on this roster with him around this year. And Poole being a non-factor, and he has been, and I don't blame Kerr for taking him out and not playing him big minutes, because since game 1 when he had 21, Poole's been irrelevant. But with that being the reality, it causes them to really not have that much. I mean, we think of this Warrior team as this great offensive team, but they kind of are like the Suns right now. Unless Curry and Thompson both are going nuts, they don't have a lot of extra offense right now. Wiggins, they rested him. I say rested him. They say it was a family matter. people don't take 2 months off from their jobs usually to take care of ailing relatives. So I have no question. I have no doubt it was a family health issue, but I think that they probably had an extra motive that extended his absence longer than it would have been if that motive wasn't there. I do believe that. And it reminds me of the Washington Nationals from about 15 years ago when they were one of the best teams in baseball. And then they reached some arbitrary innings limit for Steven Strasburg and they put him on the shelf. And they went from having one of the best records in baseball to I don't even think they made the playoffs. Or if they did, they lost in the first round where they could have been winning the World Series that year. Sometimes when you try to preserve guys, you end up costing yourself. Wiggins hasn't looked right. He hasn't looked the same as he was last year all season since he's been back. And right now, I just don't know that the Warriors have enough consistent offense to get by. Looney at least gives you, some dunks, some putbacks, some good screen and roll action, a ton of extra possessions. And that's what you need right now is extra possessions. I think Steve Kerr's made a big mistake going away from Looney in this series. I really do. And I don't know at this point which way he's going to go for game 5. Does he recognize his mistake? Does he go back the other direction? I don't know. I do know this. Right now, the Lakers roster is better. LeBron is better than Curry. Davis is better than Clay. I think they're both better than Curry right now, even though Curry's leading the league, leading the playoffs in scoring. I think those two guys, coupled with the Lakers' complementary pieces, are way better than anything the Warriors bring to the table at this point. So it's if you're Golden State, I think you're in trouble. I really do. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. It's the Gary Ayd Show here in the cave.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you are ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
Alrighty, we're back here on the Gary Ayd Show, here on the Cave, cavetalkradio.com and the Cave Talk Radio app. Great to have you aboard. Waiting on Rich Anselmo here. So he should be joining us momentarily. Good stuff in hour two. We'll have the top five. We got a lot more to get to. More basketball, a little MLB. Could be a lot of fun. And I think, do we have him here now? I believe we do. Yes, we do. What's up, Rich?
We have him. Hey,
We have
what's
him.
going on?
He is him. Him is me.
That's right.
So, all right. So, to kind of get you up to speed here, I kind of went into some detail about what you and I were talking about privately earlier, which is this idea that Steve Kerr is kind of out coaching himself here a little bit in this series. He's getting a little cute, little over creative. It speaks of, I don't know, maybe desperation is too strong of a word, but knowing that you're trailing, knowing that you're not getting the job done. And I got to be honest, if you're going for a death lineup, which is about spacing and shooting, having 2/5 of it being a non-threat for shooting with Peyton and Green is probably a bad death lineup, unless it's supposed to be death to yourself.
Right. Oh, yes. This is what we were talking about earlier. I thought you were talking about when we were discussing about, eviscerating the proletariat. Never mind. That's another topic.
Another topic.
Yeah, that's not a death lineup at all. It's not even I feel a little ill lineup. It's nothing. And he paid for it.
Yeah, and even Wiggins, who's a very good offensive player and a capable shooter, he's not himself.
Right.
And I think and this is a bit of a I guess is somewhat conspiratorial, but I believe the Spurs and of course the Warriors, because Kerr is from the Spurs coaching tree, have sort of the history of being into the load management thing. I think that they probably extended Wiggins' absence from the family matter longer than they might have otherwise if that wasn't their idea of keeping their team in optimal shape. I have no doubt that it was a thing. I'm sure he would have missed time. I don't think it would have been 2 months if they didn't think that way. And
I agree.
And I think that they're bearing what they it's come home to roost, so to speak here. He's not himself, and I think it's because you can't be yourself missing 2 months of the regular season.
Right.
And I think that's hurting them immeasurably right now because he's good. You have to guard him, but he's not a threat right now.
He was a key factor last year.
I thought he was the MVP of the series in the finals last year.
Both ends.
Yeah.
He was a key factor. He's not that now.
Nope. And so with Jordan Poole drowning in ineffectiveness, and Bailey played last night. I had to get that in there.
Drowning in a pool.
Had to do it.
Oh yeah.
But with him,
it feels good to be back.
Absolutely. But with him being not effective and basically out of the rotation last night, and Wiggins being ineffective, this is not a team that has a lot to. Green's never a scoring threat. Who are you afraid of besides Curry and Thompson? And even Thompson has his off nights like last night. I mean, this team reminds me a lot of Phoenix right now in that unless Thompson and Curry both go crazy, as they did in game 2, or game 3, I'm sorry, you're probably not gonna win.
Curry scares the hell out of you.
Well, of course he does. He's
every night.
He's terrifying. You're right.
No one else does consistent.
Right. Yep. Thompson has his nights. And unless he's having one of those nights, I don't really care if Curry gets 40 or 50. He might do that anyway, whether I try to prevent him to or not, because he's that damn good.
Right. There's no
there's nothing to do about it. It either goes in or it doesn't. Like this, when the guy's trying to make a 30-footer with you in his face, when that's the shot he's looking to take, Like, you know, like there's not much you can do if you're a
Yeah,
defense.
you just throw your hands up in the air at that point and say, "Hey,
you just hope it doesn't go in. That's all.
it's gonna happen. Just let it go."
Right. So, but really, this is not a team right now that has a lot of weapons, and they're
No.
and the Lakers are pretty much, with the one game aside, have pretty much dominated this series. Rich,
And I think it's over tomorrow.
Mm. Over in 5, huh?
They don't have an answer for the size. The answer they do have, which would at least make it a little tougher, seems to be anchored to the bench.
Looney. Yep.
Yeah. He would at least make Davis work harder on the boards. Right now, no one's doing that. And the Green that was capable of doing that to someone, that's 8 years ago.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. If I'm the Warriors, I'm moving on from Draymond Green after this season. I might take a hard look at Klay Thompson. I still like Klay enough. I'd probably keep him if I can keep him at a price that's reasonable.
He's an excellent defender.
That's the thing. He is a great defender. And on any given night, he's another potent scorer.
I would keep him. I would definitely move away from Green. I think that will benefit Jordan Poole a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I think that's the purpose of it, right? Is to get Poole, because I mean, this is a dynamic player a year ago. The regression at that young an age, it can only be mental. It can't be physical. What is he, 23, 24?
Yeah, 23. Yeah.
It's not physical at that age.
No.
He hasn't had a debilitating injury. No. It has to be mental. It's not anything else. It can't be. So,
like you've said all year, training camp.
It's
what happened in camp.
Yep.
Plain and simple.
Yep. I totally agree. All right, what do we got for the top 5 today?
The top 5, we're continuing the theme from yesterday.
Okay.
We got football out of the way. Let's do baseball.
Baseball movies.
Yes.
All right. Well, number one is easy for me. Number 1, without question, is Field of Dreams. There's no doubt about it.
That's probably most people.
Yeah. The voice of James Earl Jones, the filmmaking, the acting of Costner, the whole thing was just great.
It works.
It works. Just a total classic. I think number 2 for me is a little bit of a dark horse here, a little bit of a maybe surprise. But I love Mr. 3000 with Bernie Mac. I think that movie was great.
Okay.
I
like that. That's a good
Yeah, it was a good movie. I love the part where the fat old manager who hated him 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it was, comes out. He's safe. It's like, oh, this is great. A little cheesy. And then he goes out, Mr. 2,999. Like, just, I love it. So that's probably my second one. You know, the Iron Horse was a really good movie. It was like a movie version of Lou Gehrig's life. It wasn't a documentary, but it was a movie about his life. It's pretty old. It's from like the 40s or something. I don't even think it was in color. It was black and white.
I've got a couple of older ones too, so.
Yeah, but that was a really good one. I liked that a lot. See, it's weird because with sports, especially in general, but especially with sports, I watch so much in the documentary genre that it's tough for me to come up with a bunch of movies. I wasn't a big fan of League of Their Own. That wasn't, I mean, I know it, but it wasn't my favorite.
Why lot of people love it.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why I mentioned it, but I mean, it might make my list because I haven't seen that many baseball movies, but it's a far drop in my preference between the first two I mentioned in that one. Well, the first three I mentioned even, because the Gehrig movie I really liked, but I'll put League of Their Own there at 4. And then 5, I'm trying to think of a few others. Give me a couple from your list because
Fear Strikes Out.
Fear Strikes Out.
The Jimmy Pearsall story.
Oh yeah, because he had that anxiety issue. Yes.
Yes. The character actor in Psycho, Anthony Perkins played him and did an amazing job. There's a comedy from the late 40s, early 50s called Kill the Umpire, which
I bet you love that.
Which was about an umpire that his nickname was Two Call because there was something wrong with his glasses and he would see it twice and make a call twice. It was funny.
They should call it the Sterling.
If you, yeah, pretty much. If you just wanted to watch a baseball movie for a laugh, that's the one I'd recommend. There's Pride of the Yankees.
That's the Gehrig movie I was thinking about.
There's so many from then. Fear Strikes Out was actually number 2 on my list because the story was so compelling, and back then people didn't know how to handle that.
Did they? Oh, you know what? The Jackie Robinson movie was it Jamie Foxx? Well, no, I think that's Ray Charles. Never mind, that's not Jackie Robinson.
Yeah,
never mind.
Ray wasn't a very good baseball player.
No. He didn't have the best eyesight.
Yeah.
Not the best batting eye. But let's see. I mean, I would see that Pearsall movie. I've not heard of it, but that sounds good. That sounds right up my alley.
It's good.
Yes. So
it's a good movie. I think you would enjoy it.
I'll put it as my 5th on your recommendation alone. Because really, those are the only 4 baseball movies I've kind of watched more or less start to finish. There was a Babe Ruth movie. I think it's called Babe. Just Babe.
Yeah. Wasn't that John Goodman?
I think so.
Yes, I remember that.
1992, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
There.
Yeah, so. Yep, that was it. So that was an interesting movie too, but I haven't seen it straight through. But yeah, it was a pretty good flick from the bit I saw of it. But yeah, I think I'll go with that as my 5. I think number 1's Field of Dreams for me. Number 2 is Mr. 3000. Number 3 is Pride of the Yankees. Number 4 is since I've actually seen it, is A League of Their Own. And number 5 on your recommendation, I'm gonna go Fear Strikes Out. Having not seen it, that just is a great concept for a movie, and it just makes my list purely on that.
And it was groundbreaking because it was a subject that was never touched.
Right. Yeah, no, I like that one. Because he was a contemporary of Williams in Williams' later career, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah, like last few years of Williams' career, like late 50s. Yep. And then that's another fun story when you talk about some interesting sports factoids. The fact that basically uninterrupted, the Red Sox went from 1937 through 82 or 3, saved the world, the war years with either Williams or Yastrzemski in left field is pretty insane.
It is. It is. And who knows, had he not had that tragic injury, how long Freddie Lynn and Jim Rice would have played together.
That's true. That's true.
And there's never been a movie made of that. And I'm surprised.
I thought you were going to say Tony Canigliaro when you said the tragic injury.
Even more of a tragic injury.
Yeah, it was a rough one. That's a pretty good top 5. I think Field of Dreams might very well be my favorite sports movie ever. Like, it's definitely up there for me.
That was just a perfect movie.
It was just masterful. It was, yeah. And the end of it, the speech by Earl Jones is just like, oh, this is perfect.
He's the second person on my list if I had to pick someone to narrate my life.
Who's ahead of him?
Oh, Samuel L. Jackson. I swear a lot. Samuel L. would be able to take care of the profanity in my life.
There you go. Let's see. Who would my choice be? It probably would be James Earl Jones, or it might be Morgan Freeman. It would be one of the two.
Morgan Freeman is very good too.
Or if I was looking for more dramatic effect, John Facenda, aka the voice of God, aka the voice of NFL films.
NFL films, yeah.
That's a good one. So we got a lot of other stuff I wanted to talk to. I wanted to get into more of the NBA series. We kind of touched on the one. I want to talk about some of the other ones. Also, I wanted to touch on some baseball, Yankees and Mets. And we may have a Smash interview later on in the program as well, still to be determined. But let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll do some NBA stuff, then go to the baseball. That's what's on tap next. The Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
Coffee Lovers Middletown is now officially home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days' patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to radioonlydeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That's radioonlydeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Days Coffee. Radioonlydeals.com. That's radioonlydeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Days Coffee.
All righty, we're back here on the Gary Ayd Show. We talked about the Warriors series with the Lakers. Let's talk about the Knicks. I opened the show with them today. My general opinion is They could have played better perhaps in this series, but Miami's just better. I thought maybe the Knicks were, but they're not. Miami's better. And ultimately, whether they win this series, lose this series, if you go back to the start of the regular season, going into the year, if you had said the Knicks would make the playoffs, win almost 50 games, and win a playoff series, wouldn't you consider that a success based on their current roster and where they're at? I would. So, but like, there's Knicks fans that want to trade Randall, that want to run Thibodeau out of town, that are, complaining about the fact that they're losing. And I understand no one wants to lose. I get that. But like, in my mind, take the win. Have some bigger picture perspective for what you came into this year with. Being in the second round of the playoffs is probably about as much as you could have possibly expected. Rich, did you mute yourself?
Of course I did. I figured I'd beat you to it for a change. I thought they had a decent season. Winning a round is what I wanted to see them do because they failed to do it last time they were in. And I think it's a step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Do they need a real go-to guy? Yes.
They do. Yep, they do.
Might they have to move someone to get him? Possibly.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the stigma of playing in New York has been lifted since this team has had a modicum of success.
I agree, because you don't have to be the savior now. You just have to be the missing piece.
Everybody wants to go to LA or Miami.
Of course. Right.
Do it in New York. It's special.
Yes. And there's pieces here now. But if you start trading guys like Randall for, lesser players, younger players, as has been opined.
Unless you get a front court go-to guy.
Right. If it depends who you get him
It
for.
shouldn't happen.
He's not untradeable, but, unless I'm bringing back a guy who is unquestionably better, and how many of those guys are there? I mean, to get a guy unquestionably better than Julius Randle, you have to get a perennial all-star. You're talking about Chris Middleton's, you're talking about Giannis, you're talking about Embiid's, you're talking about guys that you're not going to get, most likely. Right. I mean, there's not a lot of guys that are unquestionably better than Randall and below those guys. He's probably in that next group of just what I'll call regular rank and file all-stars below the superstar group. But like, there's not, I mean, what are you going to do? Who would you even get? I mean, who would you even want? Are you going to trade for someone like, I don't know, someone like, DeAndre Ayton? Like, he's not better than Randall.
No.
I mean, who are you going to get? So to me, you have to add to, not shuffle the cards. You maximize what you can get out of this team.
Oh, pretty much. If anything, if I could move Brunson for like Lillard, I would do it.
I would do that too. Ooh,
and I'd
boy.
throw in draft picks.
Wouldn't that that would make Knicks fans angry though, I think, because these guys, the Knicks love this guy. The Knicks fan base loves Jalen Brunson. They've like adopted him as like a surrogate son. They really have. But yeah, I would take Damian Lillard over Jalen Brunson any day of the week.
Nice guy. Go play with your kids. Did you ever see the movie Glenn Ross? Watch the Alec Baldwin scene. It's all I'm gonna say.
I'll give it a shot for Alec.
It's, you want to get better, or do you want a nice guy to cheer for?
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, look, if I could get Damian Lillard, I think you probably can. I think if you can get Damian Lillard in place of Brunson and pair him with Barrett, Randall, and maybe add one more piece, or you might even have that piece. Josh Hart might be that guy, or maybe you can add a guy who's underutilized somewhere else. Take a Tobias Harris, for example, from Philadelphia, or take Here's an idea. Let's say I wouldn't do this if I were them. I think you move on from Green. But let's say Golden State's just, for whatever reason, shopping Poole. Now, there's a guy I would want. And you don't have to give up Brunson to get him. That's another option.
Yeah, but if you get Lillard, Brunson's superfluous. You don't need him.
Oh, no, I'm talking about this as a set, not both Lillard and Poole. I'm saying, like, if Poole's available from the Warriors,
I don't think he will.
that's a call I would make. I agree. I think Golden State's going to move Green and try to reconstitute Poole. That's what they should do. I mean, and they're a smart organization. I'd expect them to do the smart thing. But if for whatever reason they were shopping Poole and being loyal to Green, that would be a guy I would be all over if I was the Knicks. Well, the reason he's been bad, Dylan, is because Green completely destroyed this entire team's chemistry this year. And Poole is walking around on eggshells, not wanting to screw up. And you can't play basketball that way. Poole is worth every bit of that money. What Jordan Poole has shown to be prior to this year is nothing short of a budding all-star. The guy absolutely can score. And yeah, he needs to improve his decision making. But again, I think he's in his own head. I think he's overthinking things. I think he's afraid to make a mistake. And I think that Green is to blame for that. And Green's the 30-something-year-old triple single. Like, I'm sorry, you're not worth derailing a future all-star, maybe even a present all-star, who can really be a second scoring option. And maybe as Curry ages out, maybe even be our number one guy. I think Poole has that kind of ability. I'm not going to hang on to Draymond Green for a guy like that.
Draymond Green's pretty much done anyway.
Yeah, he's just, he's basically he's PJ Tucker who can pass.
Yeah. He does it well.
He does it very well. Of course, it doesn't hurt any that all I have to do in a lot of cases is do like a pick handoff to a guy 30 feet from the basket. And, that doesn't make it any harder. Curry has something to do with some of those assists. But yes, no, he's a very good playmaker. It's his best skill. And
but if you're looking for that one guy for the Knicks, I think you don't go any farther than Lillard.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
Yeah, no, and he should be available. I mean, there's no reason for Portland to be still hanging on to him. It really doesn't make any sense.
He's got to want out too, but I don't see why he doesn't.
The Lillard thing in Portland reminds me a lot of Kevin Garnett, his last year or two in Minnesota. He was just hanging on with his blind loyalty, and it just was best for everyone to move him. And we've reached that point with Lillard. It's better for Portland. It's better for him. Like, he's done everything he can do there. They're nowhere close to being competitive. They have no other asset to get closer to being competitive. It's not a free agent destination. And I don't know that Lillard is the guy that you want to... I think everyone respects and likes him. But I don't think there's many people that want to play with him because he's not the type of player that easily makes those around him better. He's not. He's very much a ball dominant, shoot first type of player.
He has been important when he's had people around him worth making better.
So
he worked great with McCollum.
Yep, he did. That's true.
He just hasn't had the kind of talent around him. I think having a Randall there and a Barrett.
Oh yes,
that
would be.
He hasn't had that.
No, that's very true.
Ever.
No, that's very true. I would make that move. Now, what would Portland want for him? They probably would want Barrett, I would think.
Brunson going to
oh yeah, I guess Brunson,
Portland with draft picks, because Brunson's not necessary at that point.
No, if you have Lillard, you don't need Brunson. That's very true. That's very true. Levine going to New York.
Levine makes no one around him better.
No, he doesn't, but he does add another scorer, but he's not a number one. He's not a go-to. He's basically the wing version of Randall.
Oh, he could score at will.
Yes, but he's not a number one. He's not like you throw the ball to him and with 5 seconds to go and think he's going to get you the job done. Now, if I could get him cheaply, relatively speaking, I mean, in terms of assets cheaply, obviously not financially, but asset
Well, you got to look at cap too.
Well, that's right. That's yeah. I mean, he's got a big cap number.
Levine makes star money.
Because you'd have to move Brunson again to get him to make for the reason you're talking about, to make the money work. And
Yeah.
Brunson for Levine is not the upgrade that Brunson for Lillard is.
Right.
It's not. It's basically I would say Levine is a similar level player to Brunson, maybe a hair better at a different position. But he doesn't have the leadership qualities that Brunson has. See, Brunson has very good leadership qualities. But so does Lillard, and he's better. That's why that one makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And Brunson's a young enough guy who you can kind of start to rebuild around. He's probably not the guy you build a title team around. That's why the Knicks are, in this example would be moving him. But he's the type of guy that can get you on the right path, as he's done with the Knicks, to continue to build from there. And, if he's your number two, if you have a true number one somewhere down the line, then maybe you can win with him.
Right.
I think you could win with Brunson as a two if, say, your number one was Joel Embiid or Jokic, right? Like, I think you could win with those guys. But Hield and Turner for Brunson. No thanks.
You still don't have a shot creator.
Yeah, no thanks. I like Hield and Turner, but I'm not trading Jalen Brunson for either one for those two guys. He's too valuable. All right, let's go ahead and take a break. We'll come back. We'll do some baseball and touch on a little hockey. It's the Gary Ayd Show. Back after this here on The Cave.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
All right, so here's the big question going around New York baseball right now, Rich. Which team is worse off? Is it the Mets or the Yankees? I mean, because both teams have looked pretty bad. The Mets offense is nothing right now. Alonso's in a big slump. And he's been really the only one that's hit all year, along with Brandon Nimmo. Jeff McNeil's hitting okay, but he's below his standards. And Lindor has been a disaster.
I can't figure that one out.
but the Yankees, like, see, the difference to me is I feel like the Yankees are what they are. I feel like the Mets are underperforming and have the opportunity to be a lot better. I don't know that the Yankees are underperforming some, but I feel like the Mets have more room to go up, whereas I feel like the Yankees have maybe 20% room to go up. I feel like the Mets could play twice as good as they're playing right now.
Yes. And as far as the Yankees go, yeah, they'll get a little better when Judge comes back.
Yes.
But how much?
And Stanton. Yep.
And how much better with just Judge back before Stanton?
Right.
If that's the order they come back in. Because of the style of play and the way they've decided to play, you have to have both.
Oh, yeah. You absolutely need both.
I think the Mets are in slightly better shape. Plus, no one else is really tearing up the NL East. The Yankees, I don't care who comes back. Tampa Bay's on a roll. Boston's playing better. And Toronto and Baltimore are ahead of them. That basically is a last place team.
It's true. So it's interesting. The Mets tonight are going up against Luke Weaver of the Reds. If that doesn't excite you, that's fine because it shouldn't. He's got a 7.88 ERA. He's 0 for 2. But this Mets lineup, other than Marte, has almost no experience hitting against him. Mark Canha has had 2 at-bats against him. No one else has had any except for Marte, who's had 12 at-bats against him and raked 5 hits in those 12 at-bats. So kind of interesting. Meanwhile, the Mets
Marte hits everyone.
He hits everybody, except this year. But Peterson is going for the Mets. That shouldn't be too exciting either. He's 1-4, 7.34 ERA. And again, this lineup for the Reds has virtually no experience with him. In fact, only Nick Senzel has had 1 single at bat against Peterson.
Oh, jeez.
So this game could be very both pitchers are pretty foreign to most of both teams' lineups. And look, this is an important series for the Mets, in my opinion, because Cincinnati is like the worst roster in the whole major leagues. I mean, their roster is an embarrassment. And if you're going to get healthy, this is the series to get healthy on. This is the get fat and happy against Cincinnati.
The Reds aren't the absolute disaster I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, it's
But
surprising.
they're not good.
Yeah, they're 6 games under 500. They're not like buried at the bottom, but
Right.
which
is where I expected them to be.
Yes. Yes. That said, you want to sweep this thing if you're the Mets. I know it's on the road, but you want to sweep this thing. Minimum of 2 wins.
Oh, yeah.
What about the Cardinals? And how bad they are? Like, that really surprised me.
I watched them the other night. It wasn't the night Goldschmidt had the good game. It was the night where Goldschmidt went 0 for 5 and struck out 4 times. Considering how he finished last year and how Adam Wainwright finished last year and doesn't look that impressive this year, is this a father time issue with some of the Cardinals?
It's possible.
Is it like just time to say, okay, you're done.
Yep.
Time to play golf, guys.
Yep. Baseball's over. Time for golf. It's very possible. All right. Well, we're gonna bring on a guest here. We're gonna bring on Giovani Valerio from the OC Smash. He's gonna be
right.
Yeah, he's gonna be joining us right now, along with his dad Jerry. And here they are. What's going on, guys?
How are you?
Good. How's it going? And Jerry, is it Valerio? Did I get that right?
That's correct, Valerio.
All right, very good. And his son, of course, Giovani, who's one of our OC Smash Players of the Week. How's it going, Giovani? How are you, buddy?
Good.
Good. So, let me ask you, how long have you been playing baseball?
For about 6 years now.
6 years. So, that's pretty long time since what are you, 10 years old, 11 years old? How old are you?
10 years old.
All right. So, have you been playing travel that whole time, or when did you start playing travel ball?
4 years ago.
Was it all the Smash, or was it another team first?
Always Smash.
Always Smash. Okay, cool. And where else do you play? You play like Little League or something?
I play Little League.
Yeah. Okay. Monroe, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. What's your favorite? Well, first of all, what positions do you play? Where do you usually play?
I usually play first base and pitcher.
Are you a righty or a lefty?
Lefty.
Lefty. Very cool. What's your out pitch when you get someone down 2 strikes? What are you trying to get them out with?
With the changeup.
Changeup. Nice pitch. What's your favorite part about baseball? Do you like pitching, hitting, fielding? Like, what's your favorite part of the game?
I like fielding.
You like fielding? Okay. And so, do you, since you pitch, do you practice a lot fielding as a pitcher?
Yeah.
What do you spend the most time practicing on for pitching fielding? Is it like catching grounders? Is it covering a bag? Like what do you spend a lot of time with as far as fielding as a pitcher?
Like knowing what to do with the ball.
On like a comebacker if it comes back to you? Yeah.
Yeah, like know the situation and stuff.
Cool. Very cool. When you play first, do you spend a lot of time like practicing like catching like a low throw or stretching like
Yeah, I practice like scooping the ball, so like in the game I know what to do and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. What about hitting? Do you spend a lot of time working on that?
I spend a lot of time hitting, like with stepping
Where
for work.
Okay. What's been your favorite place you've played so far?
What?
What's been your favorite place you've played, like a location?
Ripken.
Ripken. You just got back from there, right? Like this past weekend?
Yeah.
Was that your first time? Oh, you've probably been there before, right? Or was this your first time?
Yeah, we've been there with Smash. We've been there for about 3 years.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that place is really, really cool. What do you like so much about it? I've actually been there myself. I think the field is really cool. What's your favorite part about it?
My favorite part about Ripken is like before all the games, you get to like hit on the field and have fun with your friends.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. What about what's been the biggest area that you feel you've gotten better at since you've been playing with the Smash? What do you think you've improved the most?
Hitting.
All right, cool. What do you work on hitting like the other way or hitting with more power? Like what do you try to practice with the Smash?
When I try to practice, I try to practice on like the outside pitches and not trying to pull them, because if I do, then they'll just be a soft grounder. But trying to go up the other way.
Right, which means going to left field, right? You said you're a left-handed hitter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Hey, I want to ask your dad just a couple of things real quick here.
Hey, Gary.
Hey, what's going on, Jerry? How's it going?
All right.
So I'm curious. First things first, is Giovani your first oldest going through travel, or do you have others as well?
No, he's my first one that's been through travel.
What's that been like from the family's perspective for you guys?
It's really, at first it's like it's an eye-opening experience, to say the least. Like just trying to always going to different environments, not knowing what to expect when you get to these locations, and knowing to be mentally smart as far as eating habits when we get there, making sure kids are properly there during off times when we go to these tournaments or some tournaments. Like if we have breaks in between, trying to make sure that the kids are conservative with their energies. Like it's a lot that goes into this.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. And if you were going to give advice to a family that is maybe considering putting a child into a travel organization for the first time, what of that stuff, or maybe even something else, would you kind of give them a heads up about, or tell them to expect?
It is truly a commitment, but then again, it's also a once in a lifetime experience, not just for the parents, but for the kids themselves. To build in the friendships that the bonds that these kids grow into, because some of these kids end up becoming, who could know down the line, become best friends, because they spend the most time together off the field.
Right. Right.
But it's truly watching the boys just have fun.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. Now, one thing that I always I've heard from other families, and I'm curious if this has been your experience, is, as an adult, it's hard to make new friends, right? You're busy with your family, with work, with this, that, and the other thing, and then you end up basically just kind of getting in a rut, and you have whatever friends you had for years. Um, I've heard other families say they've made friends, and I'm curious if that's been your experience as well. Have you guys made like friends as the family also through this process?
Oh, absolutely. Like even as when we go to other places, like we get familiar. You see the same. Sometimes we get to see the same people, the same opponents. Like I know Gio has contacts of friends that live in Yorktown that we play teams from Yorktown, whether it's Chester, whether it's down in Westchester. Like you get familiar, and then you build a relationship with not just your own teammates, but it's opponents. And these are people that you get to see maybe a few years later, and you never know what could happen.
Right, right. No, it's true. It really is cool. One other thing I wanted to ask you, and I got to ask Giovani one or two more things. What's been the biggest positive development in him since he's been associated with Smash, whether it's as a baseball skill, or maybe a social skill, or confidence, or something? What have you observed most keenly in terms of the development that he's shown since being part of the Smash?
In him, the biggest thing is between his leadership, knowing when to take a leadership role, and his confidence. His confidence before he started playing travel, before he even started playing baseball, was like, because he was still trying to find himself. But now it's more of confidence booster, in that he has the confidence not just in baseball, in football, whatever it is that he does, and just go out and just have confidence that that you're good at what you do, because you put in the work off the field, and it will show on the field.
Yep. That's good. Very good stuff. Well, thanks, Jerry. Let me gonna ask one or two more things for Giovani here real quick.
Absolutely. Here you go.
Hey, Giovani, what's been your favorite baseball memory to this point? A play, a game, a place? What's been your favorite baseball memory so far?
My favorite baseball memory was when I hit a home run in 7U.
Oh, that's cool. Well, tell me about that play. What happened? How far
So
did
my
it go?
dad was went 190 feet.
Wow. And what were you gonna say about your dad?
So he was actually pitching to me because he was the coach that actually
Was on the field that day.
wanted to pitch the players.
Oh, that's cool. Give him a hard time that you hit a home run off of him.
Yeah.
Good, good, as you should. Jerry, did your ERA go up from that one?
Oh, mine?
Yeah.
he has a thing. I don't know. Back when he used to do coach pitch, there was one time in particular that he actually I took a line drive from him, right off the ankle.
Oh, jeez.
And I believe it was during the next tournament we had went to after that is when he ended up hitting a home run off of me. He hits a home run, and it was an opposite field home run, which that one was also pretty cool. So
That is pretty cool. Very good. And last thing for you, Giovani, what are you most looking forward to this year?
Going to the Dominican Republic to play for USA.
Wow, that is awesome. When's that?
In August.
Oh, cool. Well, hey, have fun with it. With that, that's gonna be really cool. How long are you going for?
For 2 weeks.
Awesome. Well, that would be really cool. Well, enjoy that, and congratulations again, and enjoy the rest of your season. Okay.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you, Giovanni. Thank you, Jerry. We'll see you guys. Alrighty. That is Jerry and Giovani Valerio. Giovanni is one of our OC Smash Players of the Week. Good job by him. And that's really cool going to the Dominican Republic. I actually worked with a number of people over the years who were born and raised there, and it sounds like an interesting place to visit. So, really, really good stuff. We are going to go ahead and kind of wrap things up here. I do want to just say one thing though. If you are so inclined, definitely check out some of our OC Smash and OC Bomber coverage on Facebook. It's Cave Talk Radio NY. If you haven't done so already, a lot of these interviews, pretty much all of them, we upload at a later time and place, and you can listen to them in the app or listen to them on Facebook. So definitely remember to do that. Also give us a follow so you can be first to know when those things get dropped. Usually we post them the next day, sometimes the same day. Now that we are on our new time slot, these will probably post the following day. So and hey, thank you very much to Giovanni and Jerry. We will be back tomorrow. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. We'll see you then. It is the Gary Ayd Show. 4 to 6 is the new time slot. So be sure to remember that. We will be back at 4 p.m. tomorrow. The Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.